everybody. Welcome to the Sharon and Joe Show. My name is Sharon.
Hey, everybody. My name's Joe.
You know what I was just thinking, Joe? We haven't done a Joe and Sharon for a while, not since the kids' friends were out. Remember we were talking about the midweek check-in?
Yeah.
And it's a Joe and Sharon, so maybe we'll have to do that soon.
Yep, we could do that. That's cool.
Awesome. All right, you guys. So we're making the video in our usual location in the driveway.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? What's going to happen when it gets cold?
We'll be in the garage. We got a heated garage.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
I got windows in the garage.
We'll just have to push back a little bit so we're not sitting on the driveway.
We're not actually in the driveway. Well, we kind of are, but the garage door's open, and it's just we like to be outdoors.
But it's so nice because we have the chickens in the background, and sometimes we have a dog or two with us, although.
Or you'll hear a lawnmower in the background, or a car driving by, or beeping, or something like that. But
exactly.
It's all good.
When I just mentioned the dogs, speaking of the dogs, Joe. Well, I asked Joe for his permission for this, just because I felt like I should for what I'm about to say next. Are you ready for the event tomorrow?
She wants to dye the dogs purple. Like, I don't know, fully purple. But
No. Their ear, well, it depends. Like, no, first of all, guys, I've done this before with my dog. Well, before Joe and I got together, my Bichon Frise, we have a Bichon Frise and a Shih Tzu females, and the Bichon Frise is white, and I've dyed her tail and her ears purple before, and it looks fantastic. But I suddenly just had this desire to do, so we have the Shih Tzu and the Bichon Frise. So no, the Shih Tzu is like a light brown, which is like a black mask on her face. So I'm going to do the girls, we call them, their tails, and I'm going to do Belle's ears. She's the Bichon Frise. And then for Fiona, the Shih Tzu, I'm going to do her little top knot. You know, she has like that little fountain of hair. Yes.
She looks like an alien dog from Mars.
She's going to look good. You guys, I've done it before. Actually, you know what? I think I told you this, Joe. When we did this before, we did Belle, and then we had extra hair dye. So I actually put it on the rabbit. So we had the rabbit, and he had like a purple tail, and he had.
Oh my God! Just poor animals.
I know.
Whatever floats your boat, you know.
It's gonna look good, and it lasts a while too, a couple months.
Oh God.
I know. So guys, look for the pictures of that coming.
Yeah,
you're
gonna be walking.
Awesome.
You go for a walk every day with them, and oh my gosh.
I do. Yes, they're very popular around the neighborhood.
Yep. Well, now they're gonna be more popular.
Yes, they're gonna be stared at, but maybe it'll be a new job for me.
And then you'll have your Sharon and Joe T-shirt on.
Yes, you guys. I know you can't see me right now, but I'm wearing my Sharon and Joe Show T-shirt. So I'll take a picture of it so you can see what it looks like. We do sell these T-shirts. We have all types of stuff. So feel free. I'll have the link underneath the video if you want to check it out and support the channel. That'd be awesome.
Yep.
And it's a good-looking shirt too. It
is cool. Your daughter did the graphics and stuff.
Yes, she did. Really cool. Some of you know Paris. She was actually on the channel last Friday on her birthday, and she actually drew the logo to the Sharon and Joe Show.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, and we had a good time on Paris's birthday, huh?
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome, special. You guys. So she turned 19 yesterday. I'll link the latest video that she was in underneath this as well. So I know it's fascinating what we're doing with the dogs and what I'm wearing and that type of thing. But
what did it have to do with narcissism?
Exactly. So what should we talk about?
We were talking, we thought a good topic would come up is, the question, is narcissist abuse going to define you or is it going to awaken you? And I thought it would be a good topic to talk about.
We were talking about this earlier, you guys. Joe and I, speaking of stuff unrelated to narcissism, we went on a hike this afternoon, and it was so fantastic. I just love doing that with you, Joe. And so we're talking a little bit about this, and, Joe and I have really come to the point where there is no way in hell that what happened to us in the past with our exes is going to define our life now. And Joe said it so perfectly. Is narcissistic abuse going to define you, or is it going to awaken you?
And I think about it, I contemplated on our walk, and it was an experience in my life. One of many, choices that I've made, mistakes that I've made. For whatever reason, we all know the devastation that narcissistic abuse, codependency on my end,
Yeah. Well, me too, yeah.
can have, but staying stuck on it, like. I knew logically after a while of accepting that there is such thing as NPD out there that I didn't want to be a victim, and I was able to look at my part in things, but it took a long time for that information to reach from my head to my heart.
It does take a long time. It seems like a long time, but this kind of brings me back to last week. We were talking about the survey, which I'm going to give you guys some more information on the survey. If you didn't hear it, we're thinking about doing a survey on how long it takes you to get to a good point after the narcissistic relationship is over. But just thinking about
Based on the time in correlation to the time that you were with them.
Yes, thank you. So when you're saying it took a long time, like it probably took about 2 years. So it's
Yeah,
not
a tenth.
an eternity.
Yeah, it was
of
20
the
years
time.
with the narcissist, and a tenth of that time to finally, like, a
And
little
you're
over
at a
that.
good point now.
Yeah, where, like, everything's aligned, the planets, your ego, your soul, your body is back to some kind of a new normal, a new homeostasis, where you're able to operate again. You have a starting point. I remember, even when I was recovering from alcoholism and drugs, that, we're only allotted, if we're lucky, like a window of opportunity, or a few at best. I call it a moment of clarity, where that window starts to kind of close, and there's got to be some kind of, where you're able to finally get off your ass and take some action to truly, like, start using it as a starting point to live your life.
The worst thing that anybody can do after you've already suffered narcissistic abuse is to stay stuck on what happened, stuck on the devastation. Because there's a life for you, for all of us.
And it's so similar to addiction. I remember, like, when I was recovering from alcohol and drugs, I remember I had a lot of old timers that were in recovery that said, Joe, you got to give time. It was a saying that we used in recovery, and more or less, like, I used to get very down on myself, even with this recovering from codependency and narcissistic abuse. Like, how long? Like, when is it going to happen? When is this pain going to stop? And I get discouraged, and at points in my life in the past where I relapsed,
Yeah.
because of, I didn't believe, or I didn't have the hope that this was going to pass. Like that famous Shakespeare saying, this too shall pass. Like, when? It does, but you have to give time, and there's shit that you got to do.
100%. I just want to say, just interject, it's not forever. We're talking months or a year or two, right? I mean, it's not
Based
an
on our
eternity.
recovery, like, based
Yeah,
on our,
yeah.
but you could say, like, we were married to these things for 20 years each. Like, I mean, so it's a damn long time that we were with these people, if that's what you want to call them, but recovering from our own decision making, our own mistakes, and all that stuff. It took a while, but there's a process involved in that. I didn't get into it overnight, and it doesn't happen overnight. The recovery process, but that window of opportunity, when it's there, man, you got to, because you don't know if there's going to be another window where you have the energy and the planets are aligned to take some action to get going.
Essentially, what we really want to get across in tonight's video is that I would say it's crucial to start living your life. Don't let this be what defined you, and now something terrible happened to you, right? Like you were a victim of narcissistic abuse, and don't let that be the rest of your life.
Yeah, I mean, I remember saying, I'm not a victim. I refuse to be, yet I still was.
Yeah.
It's all part of the process.
Part of the healing, yeah.
But part of our channel is, like, I suffered, I call it, from terminal uniqueness.
I love that phrase. I've used that
It's
several
true.
times.
I thought
yeah.
that. I heard
Oh,
other
did
people,
too.
I didn't think they were lying, like they recovered, but that's them.
Yes,
But
yes. I did that forever about leaving my ex. I was like, well, other people can do that, but not me.
That dangerous word, B-U-T.
Did you feel that way too? Like
Yeah,
you
it
would
will
never...
happen for them, but not me.
Yeah.
And it's just...
And even now, like if Joe and I sit here, we both thought that, well, this cannot happen to me. So don't make the mistake, somebody watching this right now and thinking, well, yeah, but Sharon and Joe could do it.
Be careful
for
of that word, but.
Yeah, exactly.
You
For
know.
XYZ reason. We got out kind of by the skin of our teeth
Yeah,
in
by
a lot of ways.
God's grace and
Yeah.
a little bit of action on our part. There's a story I'll share with you guys. 3 frogs, it's a riddle actually. 3 frogs sat on a log, and one of those frogs decided to jump off. So the question is, how many frogs are left on the log? And if you really think about it, there's still 3 frogs on the log. That frog that decided to make the jump, he only made a decision. He never took any action behind that decision.
Guys, there's been so many times I'll say to Joe, all right, I'm really going to try to do this. And he always says, try. There's no such thing as try. You're either going to do it
or don't do
you're
it.
not. But even though that seems like annoying to have someone tell you that, it wasn't. Whenever he said that to me, I realized, and I wasn't even thinking it consciously, like I would tell Joe, you know what, like say I wanted to lose 10 pounds. Joe, I'm going to try to lose 10 pounds. If Joe said to me, well, are you going to do it or are you not going to do it? that made me realize with certain things, like, oh, I'm actually kind of giving myself a little bit of an out. Like, oh, well, I'm going to try, but I'm not 100% committed to it.
It's tricky in the recovery process, you guys, especially with the mind like mine, as half-jacked as it is that when I had to look at my part in things and the red flags I ignored and the codependency and how I allowed this abuse to happen and all the excuses and this and that, I was afraid because I knew that I had a part to play in it, that the same compass that I was used, this decision, the choice I made to be with this person, quote unquote, I was afraid that I had the same mind after the abuse when I went no contact. I'm like, I want to wind up in a jackpot again. Part of like that hesitation was the real problem, you guys, for me was in my mind. It was between these two ears of mine.
I think for everybody.
Yeah. And I was like, well, shit, if I have the same mind, like the same mind that got me into the problem can't be the same mind that's going to get me out. And I forgot part of that equation was I was building my relationship back with my creator, and he was doing for me what I couldn't do for myself. So instead of leading with the ego or fear, it's like somehow, like when God says you're ready, you just have to have the faith to say okay, and then you lead with the soul.
There is that definitely faith. Even if you're not speaking about religious faith, there has to be a faith in something that this is the right choice.
It's called a God of your understanding, a God, good orderly direction, prime mover, something, because I'll tell you what, like, if we're just a bunch of freaking molecules all put together from some primordial ooze, then what's the point, man? I might as well go rob a bank if I want $1 million. Like, where's, and I don't believe that. It's just, there's something greater than myself, too. I asked myself a couple times, like, okay, Joe, in 100 years from now, how important is it? Like, I'm so irrelevant, but as I worked on a relationship with God, I realized I am to him, you know, and if that's the case, and he saved my ass, like, then I must be worth something, you know?
You know, there's been several times where I'll be upset about something, and Joe will say to me, you know, Sharon, why is this even upsetting you? Because after all the things that you've already been through, this is nothing. So think about that too, like as you move forward. Yeah, exactly.
Like you've being with a narcissist is like facing your greatest fears, like all your fear, everything that you had. Like even look at yourself and be like, man, I had a part to play, man. I mean, I also helped screw this thing up, and my kids, and man, like anything that comes down the pike. Logically speaking, it should be like, shit, man, I overcame codependency. I overcame narcissistic abuse. I overcame my own ego in spite of myself.
Yeah. And, you know, Joe and I have said so many times, like, when you're dealing with narcissistic abuse, you are dealing with spiritual warfare. It's something bigger than you. So when you beat it, like, that's a huge accomplishment.
Like, there's a force behind me, through me, in me, that carried me through this. And I'm unstoppable as long as I allow my soul to lead, which is a part of God.
Yeah.
Then, you know, I could get over that hump of, oh my God, I'm afraid to do something. I remember my first mentor in recovery used to say, Joe, do something, even if it's wrong. Like, just don't sit on your ass and do nothing and wait for it to come to you. I was 25 years old when I got sober finally, and I accepted that gift from God. And I just learned so much from that. I was very fortunate because a lot of psychiatrists and psychologists talk about that codependent narcissist interaction. The host and what's the other part of it? The host and the prey?
Parasite?
The parasite. But it's truly like an addiction. Your serotonin levels, the withdrawal symptoms of the silent treatment, no contact and all that shit. I was able to utilize my recovery in drugs and alcohol in the same kind of fashion I did with this. I learned how to forgive the narcissist. I learned how to forgive myself. I accepted my own mistakes. I forgave the narcissist. But I did it from a distance where I kept my safety. The one thing I knew was I can learn to forgive from a distance. You know, I could forgive the narcissist from a distance. Like, I could not make any contact. And it wasn't my fault. It was okay. Like, I don't hate anybody. It's cool. But I need to move forward. There's goals. Like, I don't want to be unconscious where I'm saying I'm not a victim, but really I'm living like a victim.
Well, Joe and I are very conscious of the way that we live our life. And I hear what you're saying about the forgiveness. It's not, all right, I forgive. And this is, of course, people get to this point, hopefully, eventually, but not a point where you're saying, I forgive. Like, I would never say, I forgive my ex and it's okay what he did.
Yeah, it's not okay.
That. It's for you.
Yeah,
really.
It's not like you're going to reach out to
the... go.
Yes, I've heard some people made the mistake of reaching out to the narcissist and say,
God.
thank you. I forgive. Like, I don't break no contact, man. It's like this
No,
is sanity.
no contact.
Yeah, for me.
Me too. I think.
Well, it's like a drug. It's like complete abstinence.
Yeah.
Like, I can't, safely for me, I can't pick up a drink.
Yeah.
Eventually, like, I'm not going to tell anybody about it, first off, and then I'm going to hide it, and then it's going to be maybe next week I have a couple, and then I don't. But eventually, the end game is back in that vicious circle.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the end and
the
moving
awakening.
forward.
Like the whole topic was, is narcissistic abuse going to define you or awaken you? And what's part of that awakening, man? Well, it's not going to define me. That's the first part. This was just one experience in many in my life, and I recognize how many countless hours and days and years that I spent in recovery.
Well, think about it though too. If you think about the narcissist, right? If they knew the time we think about them, the time we obsess. I mean, Joe says it all the time, right? Like, we have the equivalent of a PhD in learning about an NPD.
Yeah.
But the narcissist isn't worth any of this. So don't make the mistake of just being transfixed on this and moving over. Like, what is that phrase they say? Don't let them live rent-free in your brain.
Yeah.
And
we did countless,
yes.
many. But again, it's all part of the process. And my forgiveness part is, okay, Joe, you had to go through whatever you had to go through to get here, man. Like, stop looking at what you don't have and look around to what you do have.
Well, I want to say, too, the real reality when I was dealing with my ex, it was hell. I mean, this was no joke. You guys know this. I was with him for 20 years. I can tell you right now, pure, honest to God's truth, every single thing I went through was worth it to have the life that I have today. I mean, that's real.
Freedom.
Yeah.
And as soon as I got over that choice making, okay, I made a screwed up choices many in my life. I was scared to make a choice, and I was like, well, you know what? That's what God's here for.
Yeah.
One of the awakenings that I had was, holy shit, Joe, sometimes you don't know what's good for you. Like, if I got what I asked for, which I did with the narcissist, man, and look where it got me.
Yeah.
But I have to remember that part of our triangle is Sharon, me, and God, and that if I let the soul lead, good things will come to pass. Nothing out there can terrorize me more than narcissistic abuse.
Oh, God, yeah.
At least in Joe's life. Some people have had it so much worse. I mean, I'm not trying to
It doesn't matter,
compare.
though, because it's how it affects you personally.
It's a spiritual battle, man.
It
like
is.
One of many. And then you realize, holy shit, I'm part of the enemy.
Yeah.
Like, I'm my biggest enemy. But it's building that relationship with God and saying, like, okay, that window's there. God says I'm ready, even though I don't think I am. Remember, Joe, you don't know what's best for yourself. God says you're ready, and you know it. It's just like an intuition that you have.
But it's a determination as well.
There's a will to live. I mean,
Yeah.
the human being is like, look at all what we're able to go through. There's people out there, and you listen to, and this could be a problem too. I got caught up in is, all right, I hear so many stories about, okay, I'm better than what I used to be. And it took me a long time, and it's still, like, I'm still trying to get back to where I was, let alone be a better version of myself.
See, you say that, but I don't buy that 100%.
Well,
Because I know what you're saying, and I know why you're saying it, but I think sometimes you're looking at one particular area of your life, but I think you forget all the other areas that you have overcome so much.
Codependency
and you're definitely
and
a better person.
Well, you can see things a little bit more clearly than I can,
Yeah.
like with me at least.
Yeah.
But it's just goal setting and going out there, getting after it. I used to listen to a lot of like inspiration and motivational videos. My youngest son is in a crossroads. He's going to be 18 soon, and he's a good kid. He has a great heart. Some of his quote-unquote friends I'm not thrilled about. I'm trying to hold up the warning signs. That's all I could do, pretty much. There are some things I could do because he lives in my house, but he's a good boy, good kid. I guess the point I'm getting at is that you have to be willing and determined to, like, not compare yourself with other people first off, but compete with yourself to be the best you can be. And when you're ready and that window opens and those planets are aligned and your ego and your soul's aligned, you just got to jump in.
Well, I think also, like, let's talk a little bit about like our plans.
What are some of the things that we want to do?
Yeah, because Joe and I, both of us, were married to narcissists for 20 years each. So, I mean, we're talking half a century almost if we put it together.
We're talking, almost. Yep.
And, so many times, Joe and I will think about things we want to do, especially me. I'm going back into the workforce, so sometimes I think, oh my gosh, I've lost all that time with my career. But I've come to the realization, and Joe and I together, it doesn't matter. Like, I don't care. It's such a blessing to be able to move forward, to have a new life.
Whether it's an inch or whether it's a foot or whether it's a yard or whether it's a mile. It's like as long as we're headed in the right direction.
Yeah.
We have kids, so we have to make sure that the kids are all good and set and they're grounded. They have good starting points and they're pretty much right there. And then it's about us, like what we want to do. What's our goals?
Well, Joe and I raised our kids together. So we have the same goals for our kids. And one of the reasons that we wanted to live together now, before we were both divorced, is because our kids are older. My daughter, our daughter, she graduated high school a couple months ago. His youngest he's going to be 18 in October. So we have a young man and a young woman. Our youngest son he just turned 16, so he's in his junior year of high school. Our kids grew up in the middle of this whole misery. They were there, front and center, front row to everything that happened. I mean, police, child protective services, the whole deal. So we wanted to have our kids have a normal childhood,
or at least experience that it's out there for them before they leave the nest. And
it's been fantastic too, because the kids respond to it.
Yeah, they do. They really do. And for any pessimistic people out there that haven't listened to our past videos, I'm going on over 2.5 years. I'm going on 2.5 years of this no contact since the start of the divorce.
Yeah.
And Sharon and I lived in different states, part of the same support group. I met her by listening to the channel, but that was after a year of some strenuous, boot camp, hard recovery.
Yeah.
Like,
we definitely
it's
had
not
to get
like,
to
hey,
a certain point. Yeah.
Switch the seats of the Titanic and let's go ahead and meet another codependent and let's get sick together.
Yeah.
It was, or even worse, narcissist. But and it's working out great, and we've got goals, and we're looking at what we have and not what we don't have.
That's the whole thing. If you look, because everybody could do this, like whether or not you're with a narcissist, there's always something you can think to yourself, oh, I wish I had worked out this way, or look at this person, they have it better than me. Or you could say, God, I'm so old now, it's too late to start over. It really is mindset. It's mindset with everything. And I learned this the hard way after being with a narcissist. It was determination. I had this determination at one point that my kids aren't going to witness me fall apart. And they've seen me have some bad moments, but overall, I'm able to have the mindset.
They're going to witness the phoenix rising.
Yes.
They're going to have that hope and that sense of determination within them.
It was Paris's birthday yesterday. We're making this video on Saturday, so her birthday was yesterday, and I loved it. Because in the mornings, a lot of time, it's just me and Joe's youngest son. And so we're in the morning together, just the two of us, and he came up to me and he said, oh, it's Paris's birthday. What time are we going to do cake? Because I don't want to miss that, because he was going out to a football game. I loved that. That was the important thing to him. I don't want to miss Paris's birthday. Our kids respond to this, so it's never too late with your kids. Like I said, our kids are older. It's not too late, or with us too.
Yeah, we're planting seeds of love. We're sowing seeds of love, and like Sharon mentioned, I don't think personally that I'm back to where I was, let alone have exceeded that level. But we have this channel too because sometimes we can't see clearly ourselves. We can see it in others in growth, but we can't see it in ourselves.
Joe and I, we have a lot of goals that we have. So let's actually share some of them, because we have our individual goals, just goals Sharon wants, just goals Joe wants, and then we have our goals together as a couple and a family and that type of thing.
Yeah, tell us about the snake breeding business.
Yes.
That'd be cool.
All right, you guys, so we'll share this with you. Now, remember, Joe and I are in our 40s. We could look at this oh, man, if we did this 20 years ago.
Or something.
Yeah.
F that. My prime is going to be when I'm
55.
Exactly.
You know what? And I don't even care if we were 70. I would hope that I would have this attitude.
I would hope. That would be my goal.
Because it's never, ever, never too late, you guys. And the thing is, too, if God wills it to happen, it's going to happen. Only we can stand in the way. So I have had a snake breeding business, but the business that I had, and I do make money at it, I sell snakes, but it was kind of something I did because I wanted to go on a fancy vacation. And my ex used to tell me all the time that he was going to take me to this location that I really, really wanted to go. And I realized one day, he's never going to take me there. He's never going to take me there. And I figured I needed about $10,000 to take this dream vacation. So I decided I was going to start a business so that I could have money to go on this vacation.
Well, not even money for the vacation. It became so I could have money to pay the bills.
Well, that's what it ended up becoming. But originally, this is when I started. So, in the snake breeding business. So, I moved in with Joe, and I have my snakes, and we've kind of, Joe wasn't really a big snake guy, but he kind of got into them enough.
I like the idea of it. Like, it's a good source of income. I mean, believe it or not, it's a niche for sure. It's really cool. Sharon's like a PhD, like veterinarian, so she knows how to breed them, and they come out to be like different colors and different mutations, like really cool stuff, man. It's really interesting.
Joe and I made about $1,200 in the last month selling snakes.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
It's there, and if Sharon and I put our heads together, we definitely can complement each other and grow the business. Well, we're working full time and busting our asses, but it's like we want to put it in there, man. So we got some.
Yes. So our dream now is we're going to expand like what was originally my snake breeding business into a real thriving business, like a third full income. Because I don't have that many snakes for a breeding business. We're going to invest in some snakes. We're going to go all out with this.
Yeah,
Not crazy, but like we're going to really make this happen.
Instead of saying, oh, well, I don't have any 401k money and I don't have blah, 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 we're like, screw it. What do we have? What can we work with? What can we do if we put our minds together? Or even if we were separate. You started this separately without me. You know what I mean?
Regardless, I would have done this. But now together, it's our shared dream, right? So not everything we have is exactly the same, but this is.
It's a goal. It's something that we could do together, and we make a good team. We obviously make a good team. So that's one of it, and then we have personal goals too that we both kind of encourage each other to go after it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so both of us, it's just kind of like this. Joe has referenced a triangle before, so the two of us at the base, God at the top, and it's kind of like that with our dreams too, right? Like each of us have our own individual things we want to do, but we connect, and God's right there at the top, and our shared top dream is a snake breeding business. So I'm not going to tell you what it is right now, but Joe came up with a name for it because I had another name for my business, and so Joe came up with this really awesome name. So we'll be talking about it as it goes on, because for anybody, you guys probably don't know, no insult, I don't mean that, but most people don't know about snakes. They go into brumation around Thanksgiving, so at this point we're trying to...
Kind of like hibernation for the snake?
Yeah, well, kind of. They're awake, though, so they're not asleep. So they go in brumation. We put them in 55 degrees, and they don't eat from roughly Thanksgiving until Valentine's Day. It's just an easy way to remember it. Then after that, we take them out, warm them up, feed them, and they start breeding. So we'll have babies next summer. Yeah. But that's kind of our dream. So we're going to be working on that over the winter and trying to make some money to invest in some higher end snakes. And it's exciting. We could look at it and we never do this, but we could look at it too bad we didn't do this 20 years ago, or all these horrible things happened, or, oh, you know what, forget it. I'm just going to, I don't know. Like Joe used to say, he just wanted to live in his one room apartment, that type of thing.
Yeah, it was pretty pessimistic.
It doesn't have to be that way.
No, it doesn't.
You can still have any life that you want. I mean, it really is up to you. So if you're in the middle of the misery and you feel that might be right for Sharon or Joe, or they have each other, or it wasn't always like that.
No, it wasn't.
It was because we both independent, before we even knew each other, we were taking steps forward to overcome things, and together we're able to accomplish more. But that was God's plan for us, but we would never have gotten there. There's no way we couldn't have done anything if we hadn't done a year of work independent of each other.
Yeah, everybody, there's a plan for everybody. It's just you have to be willing to put one foot in front of the other, and when that window opens, man, you just got to take action.
So guys, tell us what your dreams are. Don't do what I have said to Joe before, well, I'm going to try to do this, or I'm going to try to start a snake breeding business, or I'm going to try to whatever.
Tell us what you're doing or not doing, or tell us if you're gaining your energy back and waiting for that window to open. We'd love to hear back from you.
100%. So guys, thank you so much. I will be back on Wednesday, and Joe will be back
Next,
Saturday
Saturday for
it's
us.
our Saturday,
This
but
Monday for
next
them.
Monday.
Yep.
Don't worry if I slept you around a little, right?
Yes.
All right, guys, have a great week. Bye.